So, y'all may have noticed that the left-wing media is still pretty quiet concerning the abortion provider Kermit Gosnell. No surprise there. You know how the news works. Ratings go up when the news has something bad to report. Kermit Gosnell aborted children, even children that were out of the womb and crying. You weren't expecting the left-wing media to see that as bad news, were you? The choice to murder a baby is a good thing to them. And to see it as bad news that Kermit Gosnell provided late-term abortions would mean they'd have to admit that Obama himself is bad news.
I think what's happening. Propaganda.
Really, y'all, all the left wing really has to say is, what's the problem? They can't see this as a problem. There's no point in trying to defend Gosnell, and there's no point in trying to make excuses for him. To do so would be an admission that abortion is wrong. So they can't let on that they have a problem with this practice. Nope. Nothing wrong, nothing to see here, folks. Oh, goody, a bomb. Here's another opportunity to accuse those crazy right-wingers and continue our gun control agenda. The liberal media could have had a fields day and played on the heartstrings of people with Gosnell. This just in, a serial killer in Philadelphia has been apprehended, putting an end to his little shop of horrors. These poor children were robbed of their chance to meet Kermit the Frog, and instead were met by Kermit the Butcher Baron Gosnell. They would have had Anderson Cooper walking through the abortion facility, stepping over jugs with discarded baby remains in them, and having him climbing up on the shelves to show off his male prowess that excites other liberal males and domineering yet conflicted females as he grills Kermit on his human rights violations in his scummy facility. Or they could have had Chris Hansen coming in and saying, "What are you about to do here, Mr. Kermit?" Kermit would be like, "Nothing. I was just gonna do an ultrasound and show her the baby so she could have a change of heart." Really, Mr. Kermit? Is that why she's overly drugged with her legs up in the stirrups? I didn't give her any drugs. Of course you didn't. You had a teenager administering drugs who works for you through her school program and other unlicensed workers doing the administering for you. One of your clients, by the name of Karna Maya Monger, died as a result of a lethal dose of anesthesia and painkillers during a 2009 abortion. Yeah, but she already had drugs in her. And as a doctor, you didn't determine that she might not be in suitable condition to administer more drugs? You couldn't wait for her to flush that out of her system first? What, were you afraid that by the time she flushed out, the baby would be born? Like that would have stopped you from killing it? Oh yeah, man, liberals could have played this drama up like a fiddle. But no, they're not gonna do anything to point out the negative concerning abortion practice. Y'all, I wanna share a thought with y'all about abortion. And it's gonna brew up some serious denial in a lot of people. If you support the so-called choice to have an abortion, then you've added water to the seed of murder within you. We all have it, just some people provide it with richer soil than others. Of course you don't think abortion is murderous, because you don't consider the child in the womb as human. That's part of your justification process, convincing yourself that the child isn't human. See, not only does a person who sins against another person, in this case murder, try to justify their reasons for doing so, they have to disregard that person's humanity. That person's life has to mean nothing to you before you can take it. The personhood of that human being has to become void to you if you're planning to murder someone. And you have to commit to the idea that you're entitled to act out your choice to murder. And when you have concluded that you're justified in taking someone else's life with disregard or support the so-called right to do so, then you share the same soil as the person who can disregard the personhood of people and go into a movie theater and gun people down. Or who could fly a plane full of people into buildings occupied by a bunch of people, or who could strap bombs to their kids. Hey, if you're okay with a vacuum being put to a kid's head to suck out his brain and suck out the kid in chunks, then you could strap a bomb to kids so they can be blown to chunks. Or you have the same soil as a person who could say this.
If they're gonna kill him, they're gonna kill him. I don't care. My oldest one is killed, so I don't care. I don't care if my youngest one is gonna be killed today. So I want the world to hear this. And I don't care if I am gonna get killed too, okay? And I will say Allahu Akbar. That's what I'm gonna say.
Dude, she sounded like a chicken lady clucking and stuff when she said that. Allahu Akbar. So again, y'all, even a person who commits murder goes through a justification process. Society made me do it. Society had it coming, whatever. A person who commits rape goes through a justification process. Hey, she was asking for it. A person who steals goes through a self-justification process. Well, hey, they've got plenty. They won't miss it if I take some of it. A person who enslaves someone else goes through a self-justification process. Hey, they're not human and they're better off with us ruling over them. Hey, this child is better off dead than being born. And I gotta say to Republicans who say they are pro-life, except in the instance of rape or incest, horrible instances, no argument there. However, why do you consider yourself pro-life? A large part of the reason to be pro-life is if you recognize the child in the womb as human. And if you recognize the child in the womb as human, then there should be nothing that can change that. You have to be consistent. You can't go from, oh yeah, the child is human, but if the child was conceived in rape, then the child isn't human, thus making a false justification to kill the child. It's not the child's fault. The child shouldn't get the death penalty. Even if you say, I'm pro-choice, but that doesn't mean I support abortion, well, why don't you support abortion? The only reason why you wouldn't support it would be because you know the child is human. Other than that, it shouldn't bother you at all. If you consider yourself a Christian, yet you are pro-abortion, then what you're saying is that you don't trust God to mend the poor choice you made or make a way for you through the wrong that someone else has done to you, and assume to exercise authority over God and took it upon yourself to pass a judgment of death upon the child without offering any trust in God while calling yourself a Christian. Anyway, concerning Gosnell, reports state that state officials have failed to visit or inspect Gosnell's practices since 1993, and they call it a lack of government oversight. The lack of government oversight was displayed in the fact that they were allowing a person to deprive a human being of their God-given right to live without due process. That's one of the areas where government is supposed to get in the way, being that wrongful death is against the law and all. You can't say you're truly pro-choice and you can't say you're truly pro-equality if you don't give the child a chance to have an equal say in their choice to live. If you truly believe in equality and fairness, then you have to give the child a fair chance to have equal say on whether he or she wants to continue on to puberty or whatever. You liberals should love that plan. You love the whole right to die thing. Hey, do any of y'all think it would be awkward for a Planned Parenthood worker to say happy birthday to another employee on their birthday? Or do they take their birthdays off, being that they work at a place that literally is in the business of canceling birthdays? Now see, in light of Gosnell and the liberal media backing away from him, Republicans, here's your chance to go for the jugular. But you're not prepared to, because you've been duped with this so-called winning strategy of staying away from the abortion issue, an issue liberals usually always bring up and win on. A lot of conservatives are trying to speak out and are rhetorically asking, why isn't the media covering this? Well, if we had more Republicans who were actually ready to defend the first God-given right of life, we wouldn't need the left-wing media to say anything. We'd have it covered. Thanks, Republicans who don't have the guts to defend life. You dropped the ball, again, when you had a chance to kneecap liberals. Hey, here's just one of the testimonies against Gosnell. Girl, age 15, accompanied by relative, 1998, said to have told Gosnell she changed her mind about the abortion once inside the practice. Gosnell allegedly got upset, ripped off the patient's clothing, and forcibly restrained her. The patient later stated that Gosnell told her, "This is the same care that I would have given to my own daughter." Tough love, right? She regained consciousness 12 hours later at her aunt's home, the abortion having been completed against her will. I'm sorry, can somebody help me with the pro-choice part of that? Anybody here from now? By the way, Philadelphia has a majority black population, so I reckon Kermit's clientele was predominantly black. It doesn't matter what the ethnicity, it's wrong. I'm just pointing out the irony here. His white customers got better treatment than his black customers, as reported by his staff. Evidently, the black customers didn't appeal to him, and he was just happy to know that if two came in, at least one of them would be leaving alive and wouldn't be added to that pesky Negro population that the Democrat Margaret Sanger was targeting for extermination. You're a good soldier for the Negro Project, Kermit. I guess it's fitting that your name is Kermit because you really are about the green, as you've made millions exterminating your own. And I'm the sellout that hates his own people. I plead with the black community to stop aborting their children. You just hate black people. You just hate your own race. Wait, what? I'm Alfonso Rachel with ZoNation, where we think it's weird that a person becomes a physician and then uses that knowledge to take life. But that's liberalism for you. More backward than crapping in the sink and then washing your hands in the toilet. Oh, goody, a bomb.